what does it really matter what people on the outside think if they don't know you? I scored a lot of points in high school, like 4,075 points.
And she wants to be not only a great basketball player, a great musician, a great businesswoman.
So my motto now is we've got to keep feeding that monster, right?
Get Gordon and get it done.
Louisiana, this is Gordon McKernan again with no name for this podcast because my marketing director, Alex Ludwig, is slow to the draw on what we're going to eventually call these. But I'm honored to have in studio with me this morning a good friend. And I'm honored I can say that. Kim Mulkey, who I've gotten to know over the last few years. And she is as dynamic and authentic as she appears to be on TV. And so I'm fortunate to have her in the studio here. We call this the garage studio, Kim.
Well, this is very nice. Yeah. When I walked in, I went, whoa. Yeah. You've got your own setup here.
We do, and I want to talk to you about that because I think there's a benefit for you and your program, but this was actually a garage. These were 3 garage doors where cars were in here, and so we bought the building. It was a storage facility for a long time, and I got the idea, wow, why wouldn't we do podcasts and then call it the garage, and that's what we're doing, and we're going to make it available for free to anybody who wants to use it as long as they're going to message in a non-profane, non-obscene, non-bad way. People can come in, and Brandon over here has worked at LSU as our director here of the studio. He will film it, package it, edit, give it back to the person to utilize for free.
Well, this is as fine a setup as I've ever been in, so very comfortable, and you have all this equipment.
I know, the equipment and the walls. Our decorator went overboard as usual. Rachel Alcock, shout out to her. She does a great job. Yeah, so we're very pleased with it. But Coach, how I think it could help any LSU athlete, and this is what we're trying to push out in any sport. When you're recruiting and you just got a great transfer, congratulations.
Thank you.
What if you had, and obviously we have Flage with such a big personality and presence, what if one of your young ladies wanted to develop a brand, right? And you say, look, I have the perfect place for you. I have a supporter. They have a studio set up for you. They'll film you. You can do a podcast. You can do music videos. Over there is our white wall or psych wall over there, Kim. They can put backgrounds to that. We have a green screen. So while recruiting, a lot of these young ladies, men and women, want to build a brand, all right? And we can help in that endeavor. We're here. So you bring them here, and they come here once a week, twice a week. They can do whatever they want.
Well, Gordon, the brand, that's a big thing with student athletes. And I have to tell you, I sometimes have to pinch myself and think about LSU and the number of student athletes through the years. Their brands were formulated at LSU, and they still are used in their careers today. Yeah. And it's not something that you work at. It's just something about LSU that creates that. I think it starts with the fans, the donors, the coaches who allow them to be who they are. It would be awesome for them to use your facility and see this. And of course, you always have NCAA rules you have to abide by, but I'm not sure how many rules we have now with all this transfer portal and NIL. But at the end of the day, I want to say something to you. You were one of the first LSU alums to get on board with women's basketball before we ever won a championship.
Right.
And I thought it was a conversation you and I had. I won't give the details of it, but I reluctantly stayed away from asking for money from you and others because it was new to me as a coach, and I didn't want to have our first conversations be, hey, I need help.
Right.
And so I remember all the people, especially you, who bought into what we were going to do here, and you had a vision that we were going to do special things. I
did. That vision was attached to you. One thing for me, the Lord didn't give me smarts, but He gave me insight. And when I meet people and I find people who are very talented, I try to associate them, whether I bring them into my company, I partner with them. So in that first meeting with you was really quickly, I said, all right, I want to partner with this lady. She's going to be successful here. I can see it. And you were gracious enough to do that with me. When it wasn't through my lack of trying and chasing you, which I did. But I am so thankful that you're here, and I am also thankful, and I think everybody out there needs to realize, Saban and you remind me of each other and how you view life and what you're trying to do. He's trying to make better men, not necessarily on the football field, but just better men. And if they become better on the field and life, he's successful. That's your same goal. And for him, everything you read, he just got tired of the NIL and having to deal with it. So like, I'm going to go, I don't need this anymore.
Right.
And you're in the same spot where financially you don't need it. To your legacy is already established. And I know it's hard for you to continue to try to do this in the face of such change. And so I want to thank you. And the Tiger faithful needs to know that that's not an easy thing for you.
Gordon, it's not easy. But I said to myself, if I'm going to stay in this business, and this was before the NIL, as we age as coaches, you have to surround yourself with youth,
right?
Because we get set in our ways. And yet I still wanted to win. So how can I continue to recruit? Yeah. How can I not be outdated? Stay abreast of all the changes? I can't absorb all that. So you kind of delegate that to your coaches, and you have trust in them that they are going to help you stay up to date, keep you in the game longer. And because this is new for my generation of coaches, it's something that I'm not qualified really to talk to a person about collective money.
Right.
I'm not qualified to do that. I just want to coach, but I understand, as I've said many times, I either need to adapt or I need to retire.
Right.
And I feel like I still have a lot of energy. I feel like I have a lot left in me. So if I'm not going to absorb it and learn all of it, I need to make sure the people surrounding me do, and we've been successful.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful you're still staying around. I think you have a lot more to accomplish, and look forward to supporting that. Let's talk about this past season, which to me was a very successful season. I think you summed it up great at the banquet. Getting that far in any season, you got to have breaks go your way, lack of injuries, things like that. So it was a successful season. I know to you, it was still disappointing you weren't there in the ultimate game and winning it, but just kind of give your recap of the season.
I think anybody with a type A personality, whether it's Saban who's won, whether it's Gino, Kim Mulkey, Dawn Staley, any of us that have won championships, that's what we ultimately want to do. But me personally, I can keep perspective. I know what the strengths and weaknesses are of each team I have.
Right.
And sometimes you can hide those weaknesses, sometimes you can't. But what you have to do is you have to put yourself in a position to stay relevant and give yourself a chance to play for those championships. Sometimes you do things too quickly. We won that national championship in 2 years. So my motto now is we've got to keep feeding that monster, right? And if you look at the last 2 years since the championship, we lose to Caitlin Clark, who was just unbelievable senior year. We lose to them by 7.
Right.
And then this year, you play a team that was really ranked #1 the majority of the year, and we lose to them by 7.
Right.
So I can walk away realizing that I'm so disappointed we lost, but I keep perspective and go, wow, we've done some amazing things here at LSU, and let's keep doing it. And obviously, the fans appreciate it. You have continued to support us, and I'm just an old school person that I recognize when something's good. And I feel like what we have going on at LSU is just really good.
Yeah, it's special.
It is. I agree with that. I was asked the other day, when you're coaching, do you ever just look around in the arena at the people wearing sparkles? And I don't.
Yeah.
I said, do you know when I recognize it is when I'm sent pictures or videos afterwards, but when I'm driving to the game, Gordon, and I'm going through campus, and people are parking, way far away from the PMAC, and they're walking, and I watch them all wear their sparkles, and I guess it really just hit me one day. when I looked up and here are these grown men wearing sparkle jackets, and I just wanted to roll the window down and just holler at them. But
should.
I didn't. No, I will. I will one day.
should.
But it was not the right time to do it because people were all around my car. But I thought, we've created something here that's special.
You have. It is, and I speak for, and I've put on a sparkle jacket before, and I speak for all the men out there. We're proud to wear the sparkle. So it's a fun ride. Let's talk a little bit about, they want me to ask about our ties to Louisiana, what Louisiana means to you, and I love how I'm just a country girl.
Yes.
And you really are at heart still that, but you're one of the smartest country girls out there. I can promise people don't understand how intelligent this lady is, but she is. So being from Louisiana, what does that mean to you?
Well, you know what it means because this is where your roots are.
Yeah.
Your dad, not just in the law practice, your wife.
Yeah.
You have your roots in this soil as deep as I do.
Yeah.
And while I wasn't born in Louisiana, 6 months were spent in California. My father was finishing up the Marine Corps at El Toro in Santa Ana, California. All I've ever known is the state until I moved to Baylor. And the greatest thing I can say is I'm not entrenched in just South Louisiana and Southeast Louisiana because I spent 18 years of my growing up here. I spent 19 years in North Louisiana. So when I went to Baylor for 21 years and I came back here, they asked me, was it a big adjustment? Not at all.
No.
Not at all. I felt like this is where I've been my whole life. There's something about home.
Yeah.
There just is.
Yeah. And now
to have the opportunity to come back home
that's right.
Was what it was about for me.
Yeah. And now Kramer being out at LSU and doing a great job out in the athletic department, that's gotta warm your heart. Your son is here at home with you.
Well, Kramer and my oldest, Mackenzie, people forget those kids were born in North Louisiana. So they were born in this state. And then they grew up in Waco, Texas. So Kramer goes to school here, plays baseball, has an outstanding career, plays pro baseball for a while. The kid, and I still call him a kid, even though he's 30 years old, he loves LSU. He loves everything about Baton Rouge, and I'm just proud of him. He loves to tell people, not only am I Kramer's mom, he said, I told you you waited too long to come back here and coach. He wants to take credit for that because he saw what we did at Baylor, and he was proud of his mom and all those things, but he just kept encouraging me, Mom, if you ever can get back to Baton Rouge and LSU, I'm telling you, you're going to experience something you've never experienced from a large standpoint, a branding standpoint, and how many people, and he's right. He's right.
It had to, I know it had to surprise you on some level. But I'm not saying how bad it was, but it wasn't where you probably got here, wow, it's worse than I thought. And to see it change so quickly and the passion that exists there.
But I've done that twice, Gordon. When I went to Baylor, the previous team had only won like 7 games. And so building does not bother me. In fact, I have a simple philosophy on that. You can only go up.
Right.
And 2, I'm smart enough to schedule where I can win some games. So I made sure we did those 2 things. So how quickly we've done it here, how quickly we did it at Baylor is the surprise. Making it relevant does not surprise me.
Well, from being a player back in the day to being coach now, what's changed the most in the women's basketball?
Oh, it's recognition. It's television.
Really?
You can pick any game across the NCAA spectrum, and you're going to find somebody covering that game.
Right.
You never had that. Back when I played, you had CBS covering the national championship game, and that's the only time you ever saw us play. So without question, it's the television coverage.
Yeah. Someone sent me a clip of you the other day, and you just not only the recognition, but just the clarity and the detail of the TV, because you were driving down the lane, and I watched some of that, and you did. I knew you scored, but you're a point guard, obviously, but you really did get people involved around you. It was amazing to me. You gave up some easy shots down the lane to kick it down or drop it there, and to that point, the recognition, I'm watching this. I'm not saying it was like the monochrome you're looking at, but it's definitely different.
Sure.
Yeah, from a recognition and publicity standpoint.
Absolutely it is. When I grew up in high school, we won 4 state championships. I played for 2 coaches.
Right.
After my second year, our coach went to UL and became the coach, which was USL at the time.
Mm-hmm.
After my senior year, my coach got the Lamar job.
Right.
I scored a lot of points in high school, like 4,075 points. I would play point guard, then I'd go play post. Whatever you need me to do, coach, I'm willing to do.
Right.
When I went to Louisiana Tech, I didn't have to do that. All I had to do was be the point guard, the floor general, the coach on the floor. You run with me, I'm going to get you the ball. I love passing better than I did scoring. I love the behind the back, over the head, between the legs. And I want our players to have that. Right. But make sure you don't turn it over.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the right pass at the right time. But our sport is entertainment. And let's go. Let's get up and down the floor. So, yeah, I love to pass the ball.
Yeah. It was refreshing to see because not that you don't have players on your team that distribute, but there's a meanness to this generation.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you do very well in trying to get them to come together as a team. So I can see why they would do that based upon your history. When you came here, 2 or 3 things you had to do to build a winning program. What first thing you're going, I got to do this. Second thing, I got to do this. Third thing, I got to do this.
Well, the first thing is a staff.
Okay.
I had to have a staff that was going to be loyal to me. Same exact thing I did at Baylor. I cannot afford to hire a staff that's looking for a new job every day, every year. I need you to be here with me. I need you to help me build this program back to respectability. And I've been fortunate to have people that have been with me a long time.
Right.
A long time, and that's unheard of.
The best in the business.
Well, that's unheard of, but they take care of me. And then after that, beat the bushes. Just like we tell them, just grind. Sit in that gym and find us those sleepers that we may not can get in on the Blue Chippers or the McDonald's All-American Jet, but let's grind and find people that understand this culture, that understand what we're trying to do. And we did. Now, the transfer portal helped that.
Yeah.
We didn't have that back when I was at Baylor, but man, has it helped. But it's also hurt programs. I was just reading the other day how many men's teams and how many women's teams lost their entire roster.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, you work a lifetime to recruit some of these kids, and just like that, they're gone. So I would say the staff was the most important thing for me.
Okay. Staff, and then find the players, and then speaking of the portal, you've had some recent success that we can talk about.
Well, if recognition of players that we have brought in from the portal, certainly the recognition comes from the success that they've had at their previous institutions. Mm-hmm. We've also lost some players that break your heart, that you wish you hadn't lost, but they all leave for different reasons. And in this day and time, you don't get your feelings hurt. You don't become angry over it. You try to talk them into staying, but they all have their agenda that they're looking for. And so when we lose a player, we have to make sure the player that we bring in is better or as good as the one we lost.
Okay. So Fulwiley from South Carolina, good player?
I think I would sum it up like this. Every time we've played South Carolina, she in particular has kicked our rear end. Whether it be in a regular season game or the SEC tournament, she just was special every time she played LSU.
Was there a particular thing that you sold her about on LSU, or was she just sold on Kim Mulkey from the get-go? I want to come play for you, Coach.
No, it didn't take much. Okay. I think I spoke to her and her mother one time.
Really?
One time.
Wow.
And she has not even come here on a visit. She's played against us enough to know our style of play. These young people do their homework. They look at rosters. They look at openings in the starting 5. They look at, openings in the rotation of 8 or 9 players. And she pretty much, I think, had her mind made up. And it was not an easy thing to sell, but you're always nervous, and that's what makes it not easy. But she's an exciting player. She plays with a lot of flair. She's going to come into a program that has great players.
Right.
And we're going to be excited when I can get her on that floor.
Yeah. Speaking of players, two of our G team players, you know, Flage and MK, I'm looking forward to seeing how they blend because they're big personalities and strong. I mean, mentally strong, right? I mean, those girls are dogs, to use a word Jennifer would tell me from time to time.
They are.
I mean, they're dogged.
They welcome anybody that's great. I mean, great players want to play with great players.
You're dang right. You want to practice every day.
And that's what's amazing is that those two in particular, go get the best coach.
Yeah.
We're not afraid of competition. We're not afraid of losing playing time. That's what the great players want. But you don't see that all the time. Sometimes you see kids leave for fear that that's going to cut into their playing time.
Yeah.
You never hear that from the great players. They're like, what can we do to help get a great player here? And those two, they know Fulwiley can go with them. And I think if I said anything, they would be smiling right here today if you were asking them about it.
Yeah, well, you couldn't have a better ambassador for any sport than Flage, right? And to have her in the midst of your team and being that leader, wow. She is, I've told this and I'll tell it again, of all the NIL G team athletes we have, she's probably my favorite just from her outlook of life, how she embraces it and chases it and works so hard. And she wants to be not only a great basketball player, a great musician, a great businesswoman. I mean, she has a program and she's up every day. She's attacking it. She's just different, Coach.
If you were going to write a description of what NIL was really supposed to be about, all you'd have to do is write her name next to it.
Wow.
All you'd have to do is write Angel Reese's name next to it. Livy Dunn.
Yeah.
They don't have a handout from LSU on give me an exorbitant amount of money.
No.
NIL is go create your own brand, get an agent, in Flage's case, Momager, and go get these national companies to pay you to represent them.
Right.
That is what it was supposed to be about. And then collectives got involved, and you've got athletes that think it's supposed to be about what the school pays you, and it's out of whack.
It completely is, and believe me.
So I have so much respect for what Flage does because it fits her personality.
It does.
And she's just taking full advantage of it.
Right. Well, I'm thankful she's there, thankful she came back, and want to see her do what she's going to do on the court next year and off the court. So we're looking forward to partnering with her in whichever way we can. So that's going to be exciting. About to wrap up here. I think we have a directive for 25 minutes, but a couple quick things. Kind of popcorn round is what I call this. Just ask some quick questions. At the banquet, you talked about what it takes to be a great leader, right? And for any young woman out there or man who wants to aspire to lead a company or an organization or just their life, what 1-2 things would you say is required to be a great leader?
I think leadership is shown in 2 ways. You're either a leader by what you say and people follow you, or you're a leader by your actions. I can't tell you which one will benefit you the most until I know your personality. But I have watched in my profession great players lead by never opening their mouth, but it was how they played the game. It's how they conducted themselves. It's how they carried themselves. And people watched that and said, that's what I want to do. Right. And then you have those that are very good at opening their mouths and encouraging, and they're not afraid to tell a teammate, hey, let's go.
Right.
They kind of have that coach mindset that with leadership comes times where I might have to be real with you and it might hurt your feelings, but it's for your good. It's for our team's good. And I've had several of those, but I do find that this generation, Gordon, they're kind of afraid to lead. Right. And so I keep asking myself, why? Yeah. Why is this generation afraid to step forward and be a leader? And the only thing I can come up with is they want to be liked by everybody. They want to be liked by everybody. And you know what?
You're not going to be.
You can't name one leader that everybody's like, loves them. They always have to make decisions that people don't agree with.
Yep.
They always are going to have the naysayers.
That's right.
And you can't be worried about that. But I think that it's hard now to find somebody that, I want to be our leader.
Right.
And I think that's what it is.
What do you call the thumbs up on Facebook? You just call it thumbs up? What's that? A like? And then there's the heart on TikTok? Maybe we started hearts and thumbs or something, right? There's something about they want that heart, they want that thumb up or like. And
I don't have social media, but I always give good advice to the kids. If you're going to read social media when everything's good and they love you and pat you on the back and all that stuff, you better be very willing to take the criticism, because same people are going to be horrible to you the next week.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I don't look at it. I don't care to look at it. But
smart.
Young people literally live on it. And you better be tough. You better have a core that's good, and you better have some callousness about you, because today they're going to really love you, and tomorrow they're going to really criticize you.
Yeah, and your grandchildren are going to be raised in that world, because I know, and I've watched some of these younger generation in my marketing department. I hear it when they curate or they cultivate a certain message they want to put out on social media, and they think it's really good. And then I can remember one of my daughters, and she was upset. I'm like, why are you upset? She goes, I didn't get that many likes, and I thought I did a really good post. This was a handful of years ago. I'm like, what does that matter? Because it was almost like someone had ripped their heart out. Chloe's over there laughing. She's probably thinking the same thing. I would have thought it, right? Am I wrong, Chloe? I'd get more likes. And so they're seeking their approval from outside. So your grandchildren are going to be raised right in the face of it.
Well, they are, but I hope they're also raised in a home where, what does it really matter what people on the outside think if they don't know you?
That's right.
And I've certainly dealt with that. It's, if you know somebody, you know the goodness in them. Right. And I just don't understand what you just said, because they do. They look for approval. They look to be liked. It's not going to happen. There's nobody in this world that's not going to be criticized. There's nobody in this world that's not going to fall down and have to fight to get back up. It's normal.
Yep.
Those things are normal.
That is. And you mentioned your family, and I'm close enough to see what you do to involve your family, your 2 kids, 2 grandchildren in your life, right? And people out there don't understand how easy it is to get kids to a game or make sure they're here at that event, or you're going to that event over in Texas. So firsthand, I see how important it is to you. But just talk briefly about family, faith, those things that are close to your heart.
Well, I could talk about my family all day, but if I back this thing up years ago, I told Baylor president at the time, I said, if a decision has to be made between my family and my job, that decision was made a long time ago. Right. And I always keep my priorities in line. And I always think, when I die and those kids stand at that casket, are they going to look down at their mom and go, she put her career in front of us?
Right.
Or are they going to say, she had a great career and she never lost her priority, and her priority was us?
Right.
And that's why I always make decisions, including Mackenzie, including Kramer, and now Clay, my son-in-law, and the grandchildren are too young. But everything I do, I make sure that it revolves around them.
Yep.
I miss them dearly. I thank goodness for FaceTime.
Yeah.
But I see them more often than I thought I would. But no, my family comes first in everything that I do. Everything. I would work my practices back in the day around my children's games, around my children's practices, so that I could do what I had to do and then go watch them.
Yeah.
Gordon, I would sit in the parking lot at Kramer's football practices way far away and take my lunch and just sit there, because one, I'm watching Kramer, but I'm really watching the coaches. I'm watching and learning, and that's joy for me. You have those parents who are helicopter parents and all that. I wasn't that. Any coach that coached my kids would tell you, she is nothing like you think she is. I don't do that. I just love sports.
Right.
I love my kids. Quick story about my kids. Mackenzie's playing for the state championship in Austin, Texas. State championship. Right. I have to play A&M that night in Waco. I literally am in a car. I watch her state championship. She wins it. She runs in the stands. She hands me the game ball. I kiss her. I hug her. I get in that car, and I get on the interstate, and I make it to the A&M game, fully dressed, ready to go, and it was 12 minutes until game time on that clock. Yeah. I wasn't going to miss that.
Right.
And I kept thinking, if a police officer stops me, I'm just going to have to beg and plead, but I made it.
Yeah.
You don't miss your children's big events, and I never missed any of them.
Yeah, well, just in our short history together, I've seen evidence of that. I mean, you do it time and time again. You include them. You make sure you're there. You bring them to you. It takes a small village for it to happen, but I've witnessed it. So I think that's admirable, and I wish more families and people, especially in your position, who have power, prestige, wealth, all those things, you're still prioritizing your family. So that's,
well, I don't know if I have power, prestige, and wealth.
I can tell you.
I'm going to tell you, I still view myself as that little country girl from Tangipahoa Parish, growing up in the Tickfall area, and I understand with my job comes a lot of visibility.
It does.
But I still, anybody that knows me would say she's the same Kim today that she was when she was 10, 12, 14 years of age. I'm just blessed. I really am.
You're still authentic, and that's rare in today's times, you know.
Yeah,
for better,
sometimes
for worse.
I wonder what authentic means, you know.
You're you. You're never changing for other people.
That is correct. I have no agendas.
Right.
None whatsoever, other than to represent my institution that I work for in a positive light, my state that I live in a positive light, and my family. And I really put my head on my pillow at night. When I make mistakes, I make them right. When I screw up, I apologize. But I have standards, Gordon, and my standards I'm never going to alleviate from. I don't care who you are. Carry yourself, do the right thing, and I believe stay true to who you are. Nothing should ever change you in life.
That is the definition of authentic, and that's you. So glad that is. Quick family trip this summer. Where y'all gonna go? Get away? Bond? Y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
Always. We always go to the beach. Always, and it's got to be a house that's right there on the water, so that we all have different time schedules when we go down and play on the beach and lay out and get under an umbrella. But we'll go to the beach the first part of August before school starts. Love it. Been doing that since my kids were, little, and we're going to continue to do that.
That'll be fun. A couple more questions. Game day outfit. How do you decide?
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
So it's either Jennifer, my assistant, who works with Queen of Sparkles and those people who send stuff to the house, and they'll lay things down and they'll say, okay, wear this today. Now, I do scratch a lot of them.
That's what I was about to ask. There are things I'm not wearing that.
Yeah, this is too much for an old 62-year-old woman. And I'm like, no. And then, but I don't pick it out. They pretty much do. And thank goodness that they do, because I'm not a fashionista, although I've always dressed nice. I've always dressed nice, but I can't tell you what's the most current fashion versus last year's fashion. And so as I said earlier, I delegate, and just whatever they leave, I wear.
Yeah. So I was at dinner with your friends Lauren and Martin recently, and she has a funny little story. I'm not going to share it right now. Back in the day, having to go buy you something because you weren't quite put together. It was real cute. So I understand you're not a fashionista, and people do it, but you have a good eye.
Well, they do. And speaking of Lauren, I can tell you this, because it relates to LSU. So in 2005, we beat LSU in the semifinals. I only had one outfit. So now I'm like, what are we going to do? Well, Jennifer, my assistant, just happened to have another outfit in her suitcase that she had seen on a mannequin in a store, that she said, well, what if we win? Kim's not. She had the outfit. The outfit fit me, but I had no shoes. I had no jewelry. I had nothing. So they all in Indianapolis scattered to find shoes and jewelry to go with the outfit. So they know that I love good clothes, but I expect them to say, oh, that looks like something Kim would wear. And they're quick to ask for my credit card, though, so don't think they do it for free.
Well, I think LSU could pay for that because it brings so much attraction to LSU, right? So much attention. We got to talk to
Queen of Sparkles takes care of me, but this was back in the day when we didn't have anybody like Queen of Sparkles taking care of me. So
good. Game day meal. What do you eat? Anything particular? Are you superstitious? You got to do the same thing?
No. If I'm in the mood, I'll go eat with the kids their pregame, and that's going to always be anything from a carbohydrate, to salads to, potatoes to whatever. But I'm not really superstitious.
Okay.
Can't think of anything that I do. I have a routine now. My routine, I guess, could be considered superstitious, but you have your game day routine. You go to practice, shoot around, you eat, you come back, I get my hair, my makeup done, and what time I leave the house, all that stays pretty regular.
Okay. Taylor likes to know about you walking in the heels and squatting in the heels. He doesn't understand how you can do it so effortlessly.
Always have worn heels.
I know, but just
heels,
up and down,
heels
and you get excited in those heels.
Yeah, do not bother me. Squatting, I'm still healthy enough that I can get up and get down.
Yeah.
I like to tell people I just have those good old linebacker thighs, and it doesn't faze me. But I've always worn heels, and it's very comfortable. I think I've had one pair of heels that I threw away because I said I would never wear them again. They were just uncomfortable, but I have no problem wearing heels. Now, you won't see me dressed like that except on game day or in a setting where I have to dress up, but my normal everyday look, if you saw me, would be no makeup, no hair done, tennis shoes on, warm-ups on, and let's go practice.
Yeah. Jennifer, if she was getting a statue out in front of the PMAC one day, would she be in the squat with the heels? There's one where there's a leg up in the air and her arms are like that. We'd have to figure that out. We'd have a contest for that one day.
Well,
when we get her statue done.
I'm gonna interrupt you there. I don't need a statue. I didn't come to LSU to get a statue, to get a street, to get a court named. I came here as a calling to make sure those who deserve it got it. And I'm very, very appreciative and that I was able to help Simone get her statue, Sue Gunter get her name on the court, and just bring that championship. And we did that. That's all I want to be remembered for, is that she came home to do something positive. She told us at her press conference she wanted to hang a national championship banner from the rafters. I've done that. That's all I need. And a paycheck. Just give me my paycheck.
All right. Well, last thing, a young girl out there, is looking to you for advice or inspiration. What's one piece of advice you would tell that young girl?
Play ball because you love it. Don't do it for mom and dad. If whatever your little niche is, give it everything you have. If it's playing the piano, if it's singing, if it's dancing, I don't care what it is. You find what it is and just give it everything that you have. I like to tell young people when they graduate from college, Gordon, you know this, you're an attorney. Most young people, when they graduate from college, unless they're specializing in law, medicine, they don't really know what that next phase of their life they want to do. And that's scary. It's very scary. And I tell them, you are no different than 95% of the people. Go find what it is. Take a job here and go, wow, this is what I want to do. No, this isn't. Let me try my next job. I am blessed that I got talked into coaching. I wasn't doing this. When I finished the '84 Olympics, I was working on my master's degree. I was going to be a CEO, fly all over the country, and run a Fortune 500 company. And I got talked into doing this for the president at Louisiana Tech. And look what I'm doing. So that man knew what I was capable of doing. And I guess the way I look at it, I really am a CEO.
You are.
I did get to become a CEO. And so don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that because that's what a lot of us do when we graduate from college.
Well, I think your impact in what you're doing is much greater than had you been a CEO of some company or like that.
Well, I think I would probably have had to be more politically correct if I would have done a company right.
Yes.
And I think college athletics allows you more freedom to be authentic, to be real, to make mistakes, to get in the trenches. And I'm not sure if you're in a business world at the Fortune 500 level that you can say some of the things that I say. And that would probably have taken me a lot of getting used to.
Right. Well, I think as this young kids that say to me sometimes, it's not the proper English, but I would say, you be you, but they would say, Taylor, you do you, right? Something like that.
Yes.
So you keep doing you, who you are, authentic and true, and we're just going to watch the ride and support you all the way.
Well, just stay on this bus with us, Gordon, because you and many others were on this bus before that championship.
Right.
And I don't ever forget that.
Well,
I don't.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, thank you for coming in, and I know you have a busy schedule, so I do appreciate it.
You're always welcome. And do you know you are smart? Not because you're a lawyer. I'm not going to give lawyers that much credit, all right? It's because of your wife.
Yeah.
And
smartest decision I ever made.
And your family.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Really, she's genuine.
Oh,
she's precious. And to put up with you, there's a special place in heaven, right?
Oh, that's so good. I don't disagree. I drive her crazy every day of my life. I'm too manic.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You found the right one.
I am blessed.
You did.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right.